You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's episode of Anime Crash Course. I am your humble host, Kev, and with us we have a pair of wonderful guests. We have Keith.
Hello, how are you doing?
And we also have Lisa.
Hey, baby.
And this week, very excited to be talking about one of the smash hit anime series from 2019. We are talking about the thriller suspense saga of The Promised Neverland. So, before, like I like to do, before we really kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the series, I want to do a bit of background, just kind of introduce you to the show. So, The Promised Neverland is is based on a 2016 manga written by Kaio Shirai and separately illustrated then by Posuke Demizu. The manga was published in Weekly Shonen Jump beginning in August 2016, and 3 years after that, after it had a pretty substantial run and really just exploded in popularity in the Shonen Jump polls, Studio Cloverworks got the rights to license for an anime adaptation of it. Studio Cloverworks are a very popular studio over in Japan. They rebranded as a sub-studio of A1 Pictures, again, massively popular studio, producing such kind of anime classics as like Sword Art Online, Darling in the Franxx, Fairy Tail, like big names. And on top of that, to go with the fact that we have a popular series by a popular studio, they managed to nail down a really talented director, up and comer now, called Mamoru Kanbei, who is most prolifically known for directing Elfen Lied, but they also worked on as a storyboard artist on other popular series such as A Place Further Than the Universe in 2018, and here's a deep fall for you, an anime called Saint Young Men, which, not to derail this show too much, is a manga and an anime series about Jesus and Buddha living in a flat together.
Deadly.
So, mini point to make, go look up Saint Young Men. It's fantastic. So, as I mentioned, anime adaptation came out, completely critical darling, and we watched it. So, what did we all think? Actually, okay, before we kind of get into the thoughts, I want to let you guys know that we are going to be doing something a little different this month because it's a very thriller, intrigue, suspense, mystery plot. We don't want to go spoiling the whole show for people that maybe haven't watched it and maybe want to give it a try. So we're going to break this episode into two parts, a spoiler-free part and a spoiler-full part. Spoiler-free, we talk, general performances, general thoughts, not giving away too many mysteries. And then we'll, give you a warning, give a break, and then dive right into the actual plot details and the meat and potatoes of it all. So, what is The Promised Neverland about? So, The Promised Neverland revolves around a group of children, most namely Emma, Norman, and Ray, living in Gracefield Orphanage, a very secluded, very quiet, quaint orphanage, and living a very happy young life with their single matriarch. However, things are not as they seem in Gracefield House. Spooky yukiness is afoot. So I suppose I open the floor.
As you've probably seen the most episodes.
I've been talking me all off now. So what do you guys have to say?
Yeah, I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would after the first 4 episodes. I wasn't really into it, and then it started to pick up, and the pacing was good. Like I felt a lot of the dialogue and the characterizations were really contrived at the beginning, but I was actually compelled by the whole show, like towards the end, and I genuinely want to see the second season now. So I at first I wasn't into it, and I really grew to actually like it. Like I only finished watching it like the last episode there about an hour ago, and I saved just the last 2 episodes for today, and yeah, no, I'm still processing. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's really like it finds a way to kind of get its hooks into you, and I think one big part of that is how warm and well written I found the characters to be. Which actually, brief side note, very important question: sub or dub?
I actually went for
Oh,
this. I went for the dub because I'd watched the last two shows as subs, and I was like, I'll breeze through this. And I think that was the big barrier when I started it because I was not a fan of the dub at all.
Oh yeah, I watched the dub as well this time. Some of the dub cast was subpar.
Yeah,
Like Ray's voice actor never really clicked with me. I think like, it was because a lot of the voice actors played children.
that I think that's it
Yeah,
because
it's very difficult to get
when
that across.
yeah, especially when they're playing 11 and younger, and
Yeah, yeah.
and you've got this big like someone who's been smoking for 40 years starts bellowing out of this 3-year-old.
That's yeah, no, have like yeah, no, when Ray kind of gets irate and emotional and trying to sound like an 11-year-old, you're like, ah, buddy, you're probably like 30. This doesn't work. But like outside of that, Emma's voice actress I thought was fantastic. I warmed to her very quickly. I thought, the energy she brought really synced up with the real kind of bubbly, unflappable nature of Emma. And I really like I wasn't huge on Norman at the beginning, but there was something about his calm collection that I kind of warmed to. There was
Like
something about his character
as
that always felt like he was the cogs were turning, and I think like as the show went on, I thought that read a lot better.
yeah, Norman grew on me too, but I once again the the dub the voice did not fit that character, and it didn't really feel to convey his like how he was doing. But that might, in some of people's opinion, actually work for it because he's more unassuming as like this kind of overly anime voice character, and then you're
Yeah,
just sort of like, oh, he's plotting and meticulous.
very, very, very composed, very, very posteric. But I have to give an absolute just massive shout out to Laura Post, who is the voice actress for Isabel, for stealing the show.
Oh yeah,
Just like, and we like I'll get into why like Isabel for me is just a fantastic character, but I just her voice from it that the way she can on a dime turn from warm, welcoming, maternal, like motherly kind of vibe to cold, calculating evil.
oh, and
it's
Ah,
just women,
like
babe.
it's but the whole show, like animation and like it's actually fairly reframed in its use of music. Typically, in something that's going for a horror vibe, is really on the nose with the music. But like down to like her character animation, everything, like it's all the subtle little like she never looks comfortable when she's being nice, and
yeah.
then when the second she turns, you're like, all right, there you are.
Oh, it's like I I really like the character designs as well.
Oh yeah,
I think like that kind of it's a played out trope, but that kind of chibi round art style counterpointing, kind of real suspense and kind of yeah suspenseful situations. Like it's a played out trope, but I think it really worked well, especially when you have those rounded, softed features just blown up in this fisheye lens. And
yeah,
again,
yeah.
when she drops and just like goes straight faced,
Oh yeah.
it's effective. It gets across that like she is reading your mind. And honestly, like, and I think all across the board, actually, I felt that the animation was really really strong. And as I mentioned earlier, Cloverworks, they're a big studio, but they're not very well known for having top quality animation. We've like on this show now, we've been spoiled for animation between Madhouse and KyoAni. So like A1, bit of a step down, but like as
Exactly.
far
Yeah.
as their works go, I thought it was really good. It's not very action heavy, so it doesn't need to be big and flashy. But I felt was interesting was the use of 3D animation in a lot of scenes.
I also find that the color and shadows in it were very effective in it. It set the
Yes.
mood obscenely well. Like it just stood out to me. It's really pretty show to look at. Like
Mm.
even though like a lot of it is very straight, like there's not much color in the characters' uniforms or surrounding area. It's like very understated.
Oh yeah, like a lot of the characters, like a lot of the kind of the sets and designs are very washed out, but the small things that pop, like again, Emma's hair, like when it's a particularly sunny day, things like that, they just pop against this kind of dark dreariness almost.
Hmm.
And like it's not something that's brought up when talking about animation as a whole, but I thought as well the direction was very solid as well. Just the way that they'd have kind of a lot of first person shots, and even again mentioning the 3D animation, it used a lot of panning shots. That just this is going to sound so up my own hole, but it did have a bit of a Kubrick vibe at times. I think that there was a lot. There's a lot. I would be surprised if there was a Kubrick if the guy that watched this watched The Shining
Oh yeah.
before storyboarding it.
That also goes with like the house itself being like a character. It's as intimidating a presence as Isabella herself.
Oh, for sure, for sure. For a show that hooked the two of us so well, being set in one really enclosed area, I thought that was very. I think that's very effective.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely.
Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, so when I talked about the Promised Neverland online, a lot of like I would be in the minority for not enjoying it. A lot of people online spoke. Well, obviously they would have had mixed reactions based on different endings and people's expectations and stuff. But
Mm.
overall, the response was really positive online. Kind of two reasons why I didn't like it. One, Crunchyroll rookie mistake, I know, but here we are. And the second one was because the thing is, right? Okay, well, as you'll remember from Nerd to Know basis, Kev, I hate children.
Of course,
I
of
hate
course.
anything with really young protagonists. I could just, if they're of, Jurassic Park age where they're kind of 12 and over, that's fine. But just children really grate on me in cartoons and anime and stuff like that. And the thing is, so upon watching it, it was very heavy handed with its foreshadowing of the fact that something negative was going to happen to these children. It was very obvious that these young orphans in this very enclosed space surrounded by a forest with branded numbers on their neck, that they were so happy-go-lucky and so ostentatiously positive. I was like, well, it's very obviously that, very obvious that something bad is going to happen to these kids, or that they're there to be protected from other people, like maybe they're the enemy or there's an enemy for them. And this may sound a bit weird, but when watching it with the forest, and now I will say one positive: the background apps animation was absolutely exquisite. I thought it
Oh
was
yeah.
really gorgeous, lush greenery. But when watching the first episode and the first 9 minutes of the second episode, thanks to Crunchyroll, um, I got two vibes. The first was, The Village by M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong.
Oh
Straight
wow,
away got
that's a
total.
deep pull, Lisa.
That's an
Yeah, no, no, no,
unfortunate pull
no.
too.
Huh?
That's an unfortunate pull too.
No, I straight away I'm like, okay, because that's about these people living within a confined area within a giant forest, and on the outside it's not what it seems. And then the second kind of thing I was immediately reminded of was, has anybody read or seen Black Butler? You know, that arc where there's like the witch in the forest, and she's a young child witch, and things aren't what it seems, and it turns out the
No.
whole. Okay, well, if there's an arc in Black Butler, so straight away off the bat, that I'm reminded of other instances where I can kind of almost predict how this is going to go, mixed with the heavy foreshadowing, like really heavy-handed foreshadowing. I was a bit like, this is really obvious, this is really contrived. And then when certain events transpire throughout the show where it flips from the positive to the negative, I'm like, that wasn't really exactly very, wasn't a huge surprise. And then when we have the reveal in the first episode of how it flips from the positive to the negative, and then you see the characters involved in the negative, I thought they're very cartoonish looking. This isn't relatable. All these characters are really grating on me. I'm going to put this on the long finger because I've just got Netflix and there's better things to watch. But then when I tried to go back the second episode really didn't pull me back in. Now, I think Keith said it took about 4 episodes for him to get into it. So to be fair, I know I'm in the minority. I may not have given it the good chance it should have gotten. But that being said, if it takes 4 episodes to kind of get into something, I just thought the characters didn't endear themselves to me enough, and I didn't find them relatable or engaging enough. And when I saw that, obviously I don't want to spoil what happens, but when it flips from the positive to the negative aspect of the storyline, and then I'm like, you know what, this is just going to be 12 episodes of them trying and failing to escape at various times. I'm like, I've seen this so many times in different things. I don't care enough about these characters to want to go on the journey with them. So that was just it. Again, I know I'm in the minority. That's just what I think. I just found it very contrived and not. I just didn't care about them.
Yeah.
I just found them very grating.
Yeah.
But look, that's just me. I know I'm in the minority. The animation was exquisite.
So
that's yeah.
For full exposure, for full clarification, so we, as mentioned, you only did watch the first episode and a half.
The first episode and a half, yes. But to be very honest with you, being the massive giant weeaboo and movie fan that I am, you get the feel for how a series is going to go. And if you can predict what's probably going to happen, because to be honest, while I may not know the intricacies, I'm going to assume the entire series was them at various points trying and failing to escape and overcome obstacles and good versus evil. Like, I'm going to assume that was the general arc. And when you get the gist of that, you don't care enough about the characters because they're so grating that, you don't want to follow the journey with them. Then you kind of get the gist and you don't need to go on. And I feel like if it was a slightly less contrived first episode, like, I've watched some shite in my time, but this was just something where I'm like, you know what, I'm sure this is really good, but I don't care. So again, I know I'm in the minority. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and a lot of people online seem to really love it. But it just, for me, if it was like when we watched One Punch Man, from One Punch Man episode 1, I'm like, this is my life, so it's. I think you can tell a lot by one episode, to be fair, because usually it's the first episode that's the best and the rest fall down, but however.
Yeah, I think the kind of the driving force, as you mentioned, you were kind of on the ball. In the series' defense, that first episode twist, we'll kind of get more into it later, for me was kind of just the core premise of the show. Yeah, so it was obvious that was going to happen. I think when I remember hearing about the show first, when you see it has a thriller horror tag and you see a bunch of kids in an orphanage, you're like, okay. It's not hiding that. For what kind of kept me going was the 10-dimensional mind chess these characters start playing with each other a couple of episodes in.
Oh, wow.
It's as you said, the show is about them trying to escape, but there is so many just wild leaps in logic that they start taking as the show goes on, that was what kind of kept me going.
Fair.
And it does, as Keith kind of said, it doesn't come in until about 3 or 4 episodes in that they really start ping-ponging this back and forth. But what it reminded me a lot of was Death Note.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clever characters.
This kind of mental gymnastics between each things, but it doesn't have the internal exposition that Death Note had, because there's such a kind of a wide, fast cast of characters. So it's very much kind of them bouncing ideas off of each other, and various reveals occur, which we will get into a little later. I would, if you can ever get Crunchyroll to start working again, I would definitely.
That shit is uninstalled.
If you have another kind of free day where you think you're not looking, I would say give it a fighting chance.
Fair. That is fair.
It might surprise you. Personal taste is a factor, obviously, and we know you're the horror guru.
Yeah, I just found it tame and unpredictable. Okay, that's just my 2 words. Despite the exquisiteness, and I'm sure they're lovely, heartwarming characters that you do root for, just I found that didn't grab me enough with the first episode, and the 9 minutes I saw of the second episode, over an hour and 45 minute span, thanks to Crunchyroll, might I say, just to watch 9 minutes. It didn't grab me enough to want to come back, and I've seen enough anime and movie and TV shows in my life to know that I can be grabbed very easily by a show from the first few minutes. So this, you have to fight for my attention.
Yeah, no, okay, that's valid. I'll give you that.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That is good. Okay, I never like anything. It's fine.
No, I had the exact same reaction at the beginning. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
this is contrived. It's boring. None of these characters are talking like 11-year-olds. Um, but like the first episode, yeah, like that's a big bad thing that happens at the beginning. I
Hmm.
like you were saying, you can see it coming from a mile away, but they don't dwell on it. It's done in the first episode. They're not really hiding it, and I think the
Oh.
trailer for the show actually reveals it as well.
Probably, or at least alludes to it heavily.
Yeah, but like then the rest of it, and it's not necessarily like characters trying to escape and being thwarted. It's them coming up with plans and watching the plans fall apart around them.
What
Right.
one aspect of it that I felt was very well done was how it, from this very secluded, very closed off part of it, built out the world around it, just
Oh
piece
yeah,
by piece. Just like as the characters figure something new out about their surroundings, it fills in just a little bit more of the world. And as the show goes on, you start to get a broader picture.
anytime I felt like I was getting ahead of the characters, they just say what's happening. I'm like, all right, like they're not playing me for a fool here. Like they're also aware of this. The characters aren't any dumber than I am, which
The
is
show
is,
the
is a
show
stretch.
isn't talking down to you in the mystery.
No, no, like like once again, the characters are aware of what's happening, and like
Hmm.
it's not. If you can piece something together, they're piecing it together, and that's where all the mental gymnastics go in the best possible way.
Yeah. And actually, just on the point of the characters being children, I found a funny just suspension of disbelief where I didn't care these 11-year-olds were just making these grand leaps of logic at one point because we're in a world with demons. I can suspend my disbelief enough at that point.
Oh yeah, no, like it took me time to get over my own being critical because I'd heard the show was great and stuff, and I just went in going, "Oh, I'm gonna prove you wrong," and then was like, "Oh no, I liked it. I liked it a lot."
Okay, so I think we're at about a point where we can dive headfirst into the plot details and the grittier stuff. The segment of the show now where we explain the plot to Lisa.
Hey, I think I get the plot. I get the plot from episode
I've got
one. It's just the finer points.
I have a detailed list of the reveals, so I want to see
Oh,
how many of these you can.
magnificent! Illuminate me, Kev.
So, okay, but before we kind of jump in, I just want to kind of open the floor a little bit and just ask if there are any more kind of final thoughts you guys have into general scope of the show.
Nothing that wouldn't spoil it, so I'll save it for spoilers.
Got it?
I could not stand that OST. The opening was the worst.
It's a
Wasn't it
strange
bad?
opening. Yeah.
That grated on me from the start. Thank you for pointing that out, Keith, because I think that added to the whole general annoyance.
It's a very like poppy opening for the show it's opening.
You know what though? To be fair, inappropriate soundtracks pertaining to the topic of anime shows is kind of a thing they do in Japan.
Oh yeah.
Same
Yeah.
for like that's a thing. But I think there was just something really middle ground about this where it kind of didn't know what it wanted to be. And I like where it's like, this is a horrible, evil movie or show we're watching. Here's something aggressively inappropriately happy, and you're like, okay, well at least it's got direction. But with
But
this, I just found it really whiny and kind of emo, and I'm like, oh no.
it
So yeah,
there was 3 different songs in one. It's just
yeah.
it was like 3 choruses back to back. That none of them
What's
weren't from the same song.
sorry, what sticks with me is that it's the same band that have done probably my least favorite opening for Hero Academia as well. So
Oh
I've
yeah.
just kind of got that dart on the board, and I'm like, I don't care about these guys. Why are you here? Bring back porno graffiti. Okay, so I think with that, then, those of you that are interested and want to defy Lisa and watch the series, jump off now. We are going to dive head first. We're going to be spoilers abandoned. So dive off, watch the series, and then come back if you want to hear more of our thoughts. So now with those fucking losers gone,
Dweeb.
let's get into it. Okay. So obviously, now kind of openly mentioning it, that first reveal, we've talked about it. It's a reveal in the most kind of passive sense. I actually quite liked the style of it, of how it was done. Like again, it was
Like
obvious that it
little
was.
Connie's face.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that. It was a bit dumb,
I
but like
found
I
it
thought
was too juxtaposed to the art style. It was like someone trying to put a Junji Ito spin on
I just
something
think
that it actually didn't suit. I thought it actually clashed with the art style. I get where they were coming from. They were trying to do a complete 180 flip, but for me, it
mm,
clashed. I just went, ha, and then continued being unimpressed.
and one thing I actually quite liked as well was the demon design. I thought that was very effective. Really,
Yeah.
I liked it.
I wasn't
See,
against them. I thought they were very silly, but they actually
yes.
they but I think they match the character design. I know the character design is also like a pin in your cushion, but fucking I liked it. I liked how they looked. I liked how they were all organic and flower looking, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. They looked like they
yeah.
wore the woods. Like it was cool.
And again, like it was a flourish, kind of particularly to the anime from the manga. But just there's one shot of like one of their eyes just spinning in about a circle before looking at someone. I thought that was rad. I thought,
That's very Mad Eye Moody. It's been
yeah,
done.
I
Oh
I
yeah.
liked that.
Fair.
Um, but again, as we kind of go through this section now, I am not going to stop talking about how effective I thought Isabella was as a villain, and just how
Who is
much of a
Isabella? Is that
It-
mom?
Yeah.
Isabella's mom.
Okay, fair.
Again, and this like it starts with that shot of her finding the rabbit on the floor, and there's just the way that the like her face is drawn, looking down, just deadpan. They made the plan to kind of escape. Things that the music is rising, and then just a straight cut. I thought that was very effective.
Yeah, it sets a good like expectation for what the rest of the show is. Like, okay, here's your villain. Like she goes like the whole first episode just shows her as the big bubbly character, and then she turns on a dime the second she sees that. It's like, okay, here you go, here's your villain.
And yeah, as Lisa predicted, a lot of the show is trying to thwart Mother and escape. So I think we'll synopsize thusly.
Synopsize, please.
As the show progresses over the next couple of episodes, they're kind of planning. They're planning. They're investigating. They go out to the woods. They find out it's a walled-in community. They can get up to the wall. They can look out and it's see blank forest. So they're like, okay, we got to figure out how to get. And like Emma is determined to get everyone out. That's
Of course
a big
she is.
Yeah.
Because God forbid that Emma doesn't take care of everyone.
Exactly. Bubbly protagonist. You gotta love
Trying to prove something for herself. Purely selfish motivated reasons. Under the guise of doing it for others.
That's what we all do. It's grand.
It's humanity. But as kind of time goes on, they suspect that there is a traitor in the midst.
Who is the traitor?
Ray.
Is he the little emo boy?
Yeah.
He is.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
He actually it's something actually I think you probably jumped off a little too early. He becomes one of the primary character.
Oh really? Okay. I thought he was like, oh, I'm so edgy.
No. He actually kind of disproportionate to how he looks at the start. He becomes a very kind of gruff, agitated character as the time goes on.
He's just fed up. Like,
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'm doing my thing.
I want to read my book. Get my camera.
It's not edgy. It's just like he's like an old man. He's just like kids.
Really? Because I couldn't help but see Norman as like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
He's like a real old man. He's like, I just want to sit down. Just gonna drink a cup of tea. Wear this cardigan. But as Mom is starting to kind of turn the wheels and figure out that okay, something's not right. She found the rabbit. She knows somebody in the orphanage knows about the harvest. Again, they find out Ray is the traitor. The next big reveal is that Mom has called in backup in the form of Sister Crone. Now, personally, I did not like Sister Crone.
She's really underutilized as well. She's just sort of like a henchman, but it's the worst possible henchman. She's just like, the kids are training to like escape and be super fast. I'm faster, and then she just kind of unceremoniously leaves.
Yeah, she had a real her character. It's it's as if they tried to write her as unpredictable and wild and crazy, but it just came off as confused and obnoxious.
Can I just ask, in what way was Ray a traitor? Before
Oh,
we
he's
carry on.
oh sorry. He was feeding information to Mom.
Okay, Grant. Okay,
He has been feeding information on everyone, on all the kids, and
Oh,
now that
Grant,
they know about, and now that they know about the harvest.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Emma, Norman being unflappable heroes of justice, they managed to win him over to their side.
Right, I'm sure that was a non-irritating affair.
It was.
It actually wasn't. It was.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
no, actually, I mean, it
Prove
was
me
good.
wrong,
Like
bitches.
again, like I think it was Norman that mostly did the convincing as well. So it was very.
Found him very precocious. I just can't deal with precocious kids. It's like,
It
shut
was
up, you're not
very
better than
using
me.
Ray's. It was very using Ray's own logic to convince him to play
Right.
his own side.
Fair.
So, but the one thing, so as I said, so back onto kind of Crone. Crone, again, very kind of wild, just kind of used to kind of play crowd control so that Isabella didn't have to watch the kids herself. But the one thing Crone did kind of illustrate for me was Isabella playing her own game. Because as, like, Crone has her own agenda where she's trying to undercut Isabella. Again, very expository, very wild, very crazy. But it's revealed a couple of episodes later that Mom has known all along that she didn't really need Crone, and now she is just sending Crone to die.
Yeah.
And again, in a very kind of cold, heartless, like, I gave you one chance, you've screwed this up. Get the fuck out of my house.
It's almost as if she just like brought Crone in to like distract the kids for a while I think. Here, you go like you go play with the kids.
You
and
go,
I'll
you go
do the
play. I've
real
got
stuff
to.
here."
I have plans to commit to.
I have
Yeah.
mom things to do.
So there again, there's these kind of like mind games, like the kids trying to kind of plan to escape, planning how to avoid Crone, planning how to subterfuge Mom. There's about a one episode plot where Crone tries to help the kids before again Crone dies. But all this kind of comes to a head when the kids have got a plan. They plan on investigating, and they're just about to execute it when Mom catches them, talks them down, and was like, "No, okay, let's not beat around the bush here. Like you kids are being harvested for food. Let's not. I'm trying to
Oh,
give
they
you,
admit it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ah,
because again, everybody knows at this point. It's how they were
Yeah.
dancing around it.
right.
So now again, this is just the kind of the head three kids. So like all the young kids still don't know at this point. And this all comes to a head where, they try just like again, Emma tries to be unflappable and say, no, we'll beat you, we'll do this. And then Isabel just goes up and just straight breaks her leg.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Isabella, because Emma was a level of positivity I just did not vibe with. I'm like, no, you're at 9. I need you at 2.
Oh no, I wanted her at 11. I kind of,
Oh,
man.
no.
It's how it was played against the stoicism of Norman and the gruff
Okay.
arrogance of Ray. Again,
and-
it worked in a balance of each other, I thought.
Okay.
And she and Isabella like breaks Emma's leg and immediately cuddles her. It's mean.
Oh,
Like,
it's the complete just like, no, I'm still your mother. And you
Oh,
have to
Jesus.
know that. It's like again, I'm finding it hard to really put into words what exactly about her to me made a fantastic villain, but just she's that counterplay of the warm maternal instinct and cold-hearted evil.
yeah, with like genuine like real world abusive
Mm.
tendencies, like that whole given like outrageous violence also paired with like, oh, I actually genuinely still love and care for you. It's like, come here, let me hold you while you
Nap.
cry because
That sounds like Stockholm syndrome.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, it's like it kind of preys on a very deep seated fear of that. But what happened? But the shocks don't end there, because it's announced that Norman is getting shipped out next,
Dun dun dun.
and there's a whole segment where they try to contrive a way for Norman to escape to to deactivate. They found out they had tracker chips in them to find out a way to get
Yeah.
tracker chip out to get out. But Norman uses the opportunity to escape to gather information for everyone else,
Mhm.
and then goes to be harvested.
Oh,
Effectively
does he
making
get harvested?
yes,
Does he
effectively-
sacrifice himself?
he martyrs himself.
Dramatic.
This then kind of leads us squarely into the third act, where
Oh.
Ray and Emma, play off being completely upset and dejected that Norman's gone again. All this time trying to hide it from the younger kids that have thought that he's been adopted.
Oh, he's so happy. He's got to live with a new family. I'm
Yeah.
so jealous. Now he's dead.
But they obviously play down being dejected because they are secretly planning the actual escape with the crucial information Norman had gathered. All of this leading to a final episode where the kids set the house on fire,
Okay.
chop off their ears to get rid of
What?
the tracking chips.
They're actual ears,
Their
like
actual
proper.
ears, yeah.
Jesus. Okay. Fair.
Bring all of the kids who are kind of old enough to escape, and then decide to leave the kids who aren't.
Oh my God! So they can go feck themselves.
No,
Aw.
it's pretty well explained, but like it's that all the kids that are like 4 and under still have at least 2 years to.
Oh my God! That's such a gamble.
So the plan is to get everyone that can run out, gather yourselves, and then come back.
Jesus Christ! Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
And the show ends with Isabella, with Emma and the gang having gotten everyone they needed to out. They zip. There, it turns out there's a cliff around the area, so they zip line down the cliff. Just as Isabella catches them, flashback to Isabella remembering her time in the orphanage, seeing so much of Emma in herself, accepting defeat, and wishing them well.
I know people who had issues with that ending online when I was chatting about it casually. They didn't like the ending. What did you guys think?
I liked it.
Yeah. I like how it just was. I also really like the way they set the house on fire is by faking a self-immolation.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
They
Jesus.
oh yeah, no, they
It's
pretend that
amazing.
Ray has set himself on fire and they just burn a bunch of
Jesus.
cooked meat and hair.
It's
Fucking
rough.
hell. That's
Um,
dramatic.
And in the last episode, it's kind of rushed, but it really like enforces without like, well, it kind of beats you over the head, but not in the worst way. That Isabella was so beaten down by her time there that she gave up on being essentially Emma. That Emma is the new one of her. There's like a shot of her trying to jump the cliff at one point when she was younger,
Oh.
and it never really shows, but you can assume she didn't make it. And
Ooh.
and seeing that these kids actually did it, she's like, fair play.
Yeah,
Did it.
she is a product of this system that was so ingrained that there is like she believed that there is no escape because she tried it herself and refutedly denied it because she believed that there was no escape. The only escape was for them to hurt themselves, and she, in a weird way, didn't. She cared enough about them that she didn't want them hurt. But it was only after they actually get into the forest and escape that she finally sees this can happen. I thought it was very effective. And again, it's only the end of this first season, so it opens up then to the second season being now these kids surviving in the wild.
Yeah, and that change in location and events, like I genuinely haven't seen spoilers, so I don't know if Isabella is a continued villain. I think she probably comes back later, but I don't think she's the main villain anymore. And just an uncertainty of what the next one's going to be.
Yeah, not. I don't want to stick on the point too much. I have read fairly substantially further on in the manga.
Fair enough.
I have been reading this for actually quite a while, and not to give too much like not to get too much into it, but the show does actually start shifting genres
Oh, all
What?
at this point. Kind of in a way from, again, that from the first, like, again, this being escape, suspense thriller to kind of adventure survival.
Oh, nice.
And it's very effective. I really enjoy it. And again, it as the series progresses, it just kind of keeps throwing these new angles at you left and right.
And
Um,
I can imagine it does that really well if it's because the first season itself was a lot of mind games and tactics and outthinking the opponent, and now I can only imagine that this is all speculation that next season is that same kind of uh, thought, but put to survival, like actual survival, like when they are out on their own. I think that'd be really cool.
I will keep my peace on that matter. Okay, so I think we're coming up kind of on about time for wrapping up. So, well, Lisa, what as we have synopsized it,
Yeah.
did it go about how you expected?
To be very honest, yes. It did. It sounds exactly like what I predicted. Now, again, if it's a grower of a series, then that's fair. But I didn't see enough in what I saw to want to grow with it. So look, some things are like I've watched. Like I said, I've watched some crap in my time that no one would wipe their bum with. So to be fair, I don't really have an opinion. I have terrible taste in TV. But look, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I think, like I said, I have Netflix now. I'm going to be watching other things. I'll probably never revisit it, but if I do one day again revisit it, it will be with an open mind based on the lovely synopses you guys gave.
Hooray! Go us!
Almost change your mind.
And yeah,
Fair.
we one step
I'll
closer.
take it as a victory. It counts. Good. The
And
show
Keith,
changed my mind.
what's your final takeaway on it?
I was very pleasantly surprised going in. Like as I said, I started off very much like Lisa. I wasn't feeling it, wasn't too into it, but it grew on me, and the show felt very quick. Like even the first 4 episodes that didn't really do anything for me, they felt like they were like 10 minutes long. They didn't feel long to me at all. It was very well paced, very enjoyable, and I'm going to watch the second season. So.
Yeah. So I suppose So going forward, what's the future of The Promised Neverland? As it stands, the manga has actually finished its run. It is completed. It's ended.
How many volumes?
20 volumes, about 181 chapters.
That's not too bad. That's about standard.
About fairly self-contained. Yeah. So
yeah, you can get into that.
If there's a time to jump in, now is perfect. They like the whole thing. It's a completed story. So that's 181 chapters, which, by the way, we're not sponsored at all, but I have got to give a shout out to the Shonen Jump mobile app.
Oh, yeah?
Do either of you guys know about this?
No, tell me more.
Shonen Jump, one of the most popular manga publishers in Japan, opened up their digital storefront, I think it was about a year ago, and just opened it up as a subscription service where you can read nearly every back catalog series they've ever released and new chapters as they release and are translated.
Oh, dude.
For €2 a month.
Oh, dude.
I'm doing
okay.
this. Is Monster on it?
I don't know, actually. Listen, I'm like €2 a month for all of One Piece. Yeah, that's it. That's worth it. That's where my money's going. But that's my One Piece fanaticism aside. So that's, if you sign on to that, you've got all 181 chapters of Promised Neverland. They're done, finished. The same author has also gone off and written a couple of spin-off light novels, just kind of taking different aspects of the world and fleshing them out. I think there's 2 released currently and 1 in production. As far as I could tell in my research, they are Japanese exclusive, but there's a couple of sneaky fan translations up on Wattpad or something like that. I don't know, maybe for research purposes. And yes, it being as a popular an anime series as it has. A second series has, of course, been greenlit. It was set to air. It was announced in March 2019, set to air in October of this year, but obviously the world is burning. So that's currently been postponed to a January 2021 release. Before we wrap up, I found out just the wildest thing about this whole situation is that because of the popularity, currently in production are two entirely separate live action adaptations.
Oh
Jesus.
So the
I
first,
might watch that actually.
yeah, that would be great crack.
so the first one is a Japanese live action movie. That is directed by Yuichiro Hirakawa. Couldn't find any other kind of real major credits of note to his name. That's in production now and is set to release December this year. And the second one is a live action series being produced by Amazon and Fox. So we're going west on this.
Oh no.
Is it a musical? Please tell me it's a musical.
Oh no, I
need-
wish that'd be incredible.
Jesus Christ.
And as soon as I read this, I immediately wrote it off. However,
Oh no.
it is being directed by a man named Rodney Rothman. And Rodney Rothman's main credit to fame
Oh,
is
dear.
he co-directed Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
That raises from like, I'm not looking at that at all, but like, although interesting.
no, like that could work, but I was really hoping you'd say someone like, completely shite, like someone.
Oh,
who
like
did the
if
worst
I came out and said
possible-
like, like if I came out and say this was an Uwe Boll job, I'd be
it'd be the best movie ever. I don't
we'd
care.
be
That's what
doing
I
a live watch along immediately.
That's interesting. I might watch that.
That's like
I will watch it.
it's one of those things like, okay, you got a Spider-Verse guy. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, just when I was kind of looking up the credits and that, Rodney Rothman, one of his other claims to fame is a writer for the 78th Annual Academy Awards in 2006.
Oh.
So the Academy Awards have writers, and apparently one of them wrote Into the Spider-Verse. So that's fun.
Do you know what? Just with regards to the Japanese live action, I do have to wonder, are they actually going to use actual children, or are they going to do to that what they did to the Black Butler live action, where they had to make everybody adults, or else it would have been totally illegal?
There is screenshots of it. I did look it up. They do not look like children.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I think, like,
Shadow.
at best, they look like 17, 18-year-olds.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, but to be fair, like, I said
Oh,
it
no.
before, and I'll say it again, what happens in manga and anime doesn't always translate as well in live action. You'll enjoy something in manga or anime, then you'll see it live action, and you go, oh my god, I'm a horrible person.
I don't anticipate that will be very successful.
I kind of want to watch that more than the actual series, Kev, to be very honest with you.
I think you like. Hey, Lisa. I think you like trash. I think.
You do, the garbage queen. I identify. I must only watch what I am.
All hail to our trash queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no standards of viewing.
So.
I'm so sorry.
So, in summation, don't listen to Lisa.
Oh, thanks.
No, I'm sorry. I'm throwing shade. In summation, so if you liked it and you want to check it out, and after listening to us rambling, The Promised Neverland is available for streaming on Funimation and maybe Crunchyroll? ?
Oh no, even Crunchyroll was throwing up notifications saying, yeah, this is taking a ridiculously fucking long time. Are you sure you want to keep watching? And I'm like, no, but I have to. It's homework. So I'm like, but even Crunchyroll is telling you, listen, bro, this ain't happening. You know, there's something wrong. So don't listen. I love Crunchyroll. I want to be sponsored by you straight out of Kanto, but please fix your issues. Issues. Oh God.
Show.
Issues. Fix your shows and your issues and the issues with your shows.
No,
Yeah.
don't fix your shows. I like your shows. Let me watch more Hero Academia. Okay, so in summation, I think it is time that we started plugging things. So Keith, please tell the good people where they can see more of you.
You can find me on Instagram. It's Dry Keat, Keat spelled with two E's and no H. 'Cause that's how I spell my name, I guess. And I play in a couple bands, namely a band called Horrenda. It's a black metal band. We released an album there last month called The Altus. It's on all the streaming stuff. You can buy it or listen to it if you want to. If you don't, I don't blame you. And yeah, that's all I have to plug.
But hey, the album's real good.
Oh,
No
it's so
bias.
good.
No bias.
No, literally, it's
I've
like
also
being
got-
punched in the face with awesome, and you're just like, oh, this is great. My ears needed this.
Okay, that's awesome, Keith. And Lisa, where can people find more of you?
Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so Straight Outta Canto, the podcast radio show, is where you guys would primarily know me from, and you and listening under the Nerd to Know Media. So Straight Outta Canto, that's straight outta _ Canto on Instagram. But I am more active on my personal Instagram under my Power Shock musician band name, which is Venus de Vilo. So it's Venus _DE _Vilo. That's where really dark memes happen, which are kind of related to the Straight Outta Canto podcast radio show, which is your #1 podcast for nerd culture, nightmare fuel, and nostalgia. So yeah, if you like weird stuff from the 90s and hentai and shit, yeah, it's great. That's my podcast. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Class. You can follow me on Twitter at KevTalika94, and you can just see me on the network. I just kind of hang around here like a bad smell. It's summer, everybody stinks, including me. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Oh my god,
Right
stop
there with
talking.
you.
And I will. This has been Anime Crash Course.
God.
Sincerely, thank you very much for listening to us, and we will see you guys next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.